Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have you ever been curious about online coaching for your fitness needs? Well, today on the podcast, we have Jason Leenaarts, the official fitness coach for the Julie Tussey Show. And he is going to live coach Gina right here on the podcast. You don't want to miss this. Welcome to the Julie Tussey Show. Get on the Julie Tussey train. We're going somewhere, baby.
Pop the glam pain. It's time for the Julie Tussey Show live guest current events scathing exposés. The original suburban bombshell, the big blonde baby, giving you the fastest, funniest, most informative 30 minutes of your life. And now, here's Julie Tussey.
She makes you want to.
Hey everybody, this is Julie Tussey in the studio with none other than the amazing Gina Paytech. Hey Gina.
Hey.
On the phone we have Jason Leenaarts of Revolutionary You, and he is my buddy. I shout out to him a lot on the show. He's actually the official fitness coach for the Julie Tussey Show, and today, hi Jason.
Hi there.
Today, Jason is going to do a really cool thing for us, and that is that my wonderful Gina is on a weight loss journey just like I am. And tell the listeners, Jace, what you're going to do for her.
So I thought this would be kind of a cool concept, and I have to tip my hat to my buddy Rob Dion of Open Sky Fitness. He and I, a couple months ago, did a cross-promoted episode. So we recorded something very similar. We released it on the same day, so we would have an episode that went out to both his audience and mine. And as you know, you and I were kind of connecting and just talking about different things going on. And when I knew that Gina was looking to lose weight, I thought, well, I wonder if this would be kind of a cool thing to do. If Gina is game for it, we could basically just have an on-the-air client consult. Julie, similar to like what you and I did, but it's obviously going to be different because Gina's in a different starting place. She's got different obstacles that she brings to the table. And I thought, well, this would be something kind of cool. This is what I do with my online clients, and it's very similar to what I do with my face-to-face clients. Although you lose that touch point when you don't have the face-to-face contact. So I thought, well, let's just get it out there. And I mean, I have to give huge credit to Gina for being so forthcoming and open with a lot of this information, because I think it takes a really strong person to be able to do this and do it, live and in action.
I love that. I love what we did. And, a lot of the listeners do reach out to you, and some of them actually have you coach online. And that is a whole new phenomenon to me, online coaching. So this is so cool because the Julie Tussey Show listeners and your listeners are going to actually get a taste of what it's like to work with you online. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I got to admit, I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done it quite like this, so I feel like I can't have any slip of the tongue. Maybe I have to watch my language, that kind of thing. So I'll do my best.
Well, we want you to be free and be yourself, and we can edit if it's really bad. I'll call you and I'll say, okay, at 13:12 we need to take out.
It's okay. I cuss for Julie.
You cuss for me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I only cuss to be funny, so you be free, Jace. You be free.
So I guess I want to start here and just sort of let the listeners know, too, sort of how this process has worked up to this point. So Gina and I connected, and sorry, Gina, I'm going to talk about you like you're not here for just a moment, because pretty soon the spotlight's going to be all on you. There was a lot of information that I needed right from the get-go. So I needed to know Gina's name and address and phone number, email address, that type of thing. But then we also needed to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about, what is your current weight? What is your goal weight? What's your current level of activity? And things like that. And I talked to her a little bit about her diet. So I've got some information on hand that we're going to delve into some of it and try to go into a fair amount of detail. I do want to sort of warn the listeners, too, that I get really excited talking about this stuff. So I tend to be a little bit long-winded. And so, Gina, at any point, and certainly Julie too, if I start to really go to the races with this, you can just say, wait just a second, you crazy bald man, just slow down and back it up, and let's try that again. So we're gonna try to cover a lot of different stuff on this one.
Well, that's exciting. And this is another bald and the blonde episode. So now now we have a brunette, Jason.
We're triple B's.
It's going to be awesome. All we need is a redhead, and we're ready to go.
So Gina, I want to turn this over to you for just a second, because really this is about you. It's about your goals. It's about, again, what you're bringing to the table. So let's go ahead and get just some details out of the way first, if you're good for it. Tell me a little bit about what the starting place is. And of course, obviously I know some of these numbers already, but you are at a current weight. You want to be somewhere else. Let's start there so we can start to kind of formulate something of a strategy moving forward.
Sure. Currently I'm at 273 and my goal is to hit 145. Earlier this year I was actually 297.
So right now, and there were some questions I didn't ask you when we were communicating earlier. Are you currently married, and do you currently have children?
I am currently married. We don't have children.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been married for?
Oh, God. You would ask that. We've been together since 2009.
And you've been married 2 years, haven't you?
Yeah. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Math. Yeah. Because 2016, I had to remember if it was 2015 or 2016 we got married, because we're both terrible married people like that.
Oh, that'd be 3 years. Yeah. This year you'll be 3 years.
Yeah, it was a hot
Awesome.
minute.
And what's your husband's name?
Steve.
So, when you obviously Julie knows that you're on a weight loss journey, and I've kind of been brought into the mix with this as well. When you and Steve have this conversation, I know how things go between my wife and I when my wife has certain goals and that kind of thing. What's that conversation like? Do you say, okay, Steve, I've had enough. I got to do something about the weight. How do those conversations go in terms of the way that he supports your efforts?
He's always pretty supportive. He helped me get back into the gym, actually. And he tolerated me dragging my mom's old exercise bag back down into the house, which he really didn't want to do because it's a huge monster and it takes up a lot of space. But he said that if it was worth it to me, that it was worth it to him.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I may kind of tip my hat a little bit, and certainly Julie may chime in as well. Julie's been married for a good bit of time, and so
forever.
But you learn things about your significant other and the things that are going to be helpful, things that may consciously or unconsciously sabotage your efforts. So we're going to talk about some of that too. But Gina, when I pulled all your information together, what I do is all the information I'm asking you for, I put it into a piece of software. And when I'm done with that, it kind of gives me this I call it sort of a cold, calculated look at where things are and where they could potentially be. So all you're doing is just moving data points around. And I'll try not to get too geeky when I talk about this, but I want to basically start here for you. So you're at a given weight right now, and you have a goal weight. So there's your point A and your point B. And I'll tell you this, that in all the years that I've done this, I've never had someone come up to me and say, I want to lose muscle. It's never happened. Everyone that comes to me says, I want to lose fat. So as we're kind of playing with these numbers, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move the current fat mass down so that we get you closer to your goal weight. So one thing that I did, and I mentioned this to you offline, was your goal weight was lower than where I actually set you at. And the reason for that is you currently have 150 pounds of lean muscle on your frame. That's a significant amount of muscle. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. And in a perfect world, what we'd want to do is we want to try to keep all of that muscle there, because that means that at rest, you're going to burn more calories, which is pretty amazing. When you think that you could just sit on a couch and burn more calories than the next person, I think that's a pretty good situation to be in. The thing that happens, though, with weight loss is we're going to do everything that we can from a food standpoint and from an exercise standpoint to keep you from losing muscle mass. But the thing is, you're probably going to lose some, and it's really hard to quantify how much you're actually going to lose. So as I started to kind of pull, my numbers down to your ideal weight, what happened was you were going to end up at a body fat percentage that was so low that I don't even know that a female could actually attain it. it would be below like physique level. So if you've ever seen a physique competitor, they're really, really lean. And they'll be the first people to tell you this is not the way I walk around 365 days out of the year.
Yeah, and I have to say something, Jason. I can't work with that.
Yeah, it's not realistic. It's not sustainable. And props to the women out there and the men that can get to that level of leanness. But I moved your number to a place where I thought, okay, this is still a significant amount of weight loss. This is still going to be a significant and challenging journey for you. Does it get you to that dream weight? No, but we may find that as the muscle starts to kind of do its own thing, irrespective of what we're trying to do to keep it there, the numbers are going to shift, your body's going to shift, and you may find that a slightly different number still feels pretty healthy. You feel strong. You feel capable. You don't feel, say, out of breath when you go up a flight of stairs. I'm not sure that's even a concern of yours right now. But that's kind of where I had you at. So initially, you had a goal weight of about 145 pounds. I brought you down to about 190. So that's still over 80 pounds of weight loss. It does get you below the 200-pound mark, which I think is a pretty good place to be. And it gives you some buffer too. That let's just say you want to go out and have kind of a wild weekend. You've got the room to do it without thinking that the scale is going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, no, that sounds better. And I actually didn't know the bit about the muscle mass, or I would have totally picked that number.
I can't work with someone who has no body fat. I just don't think I can do that because I'd be so friggin' jealous I wouldn't be able to work.
And here's the thing too, and I'm going to try to come back to this point as often as I can. Gina, if I were able to put you into a bubble and have you do exactly what I want you to do, and you eat exactly the way that I tell you to, and your body it reacts in all the ways that we want it to. If I were to keep all 150 pounds of lean muscle on your frame and bring you down to that point where you only have 40 pounds left of fat mass, you're going to have 21% body fat. I mean, that's phenomenal. It really, really is. So I don't know what curveballs your body's going to throw at us along the way. It's going to throw some. We just don't know what they are just yet, because we're going to talk about the timeline here in just a little bit. But that's kind of my starting point is, for me, let's see if we can get you under the 200-pound mark. Let's do it in the safest, most sustainable way possible, because the one thing that I try not to do is I don't talk about hacks and I don't talk about fads and gimmicks. I think that a lot of them are a joke, and I think they're a waste of money, and I think that they really kind of dumb down what people should be doing for their bodies. So I will give you lots of options, and really this is about what works for Gina, not what works for Julie, and not what works for Jason.
Well,
Sound fair?
That's pretty cool.
She takes millions of notes, so as you're talking, she's writing it all down because she's going to get a tattoo on her arm so she can read it every day.
You make a joke, but I think it'd be handy.
I'm going to put my stats, 1,200 calories. No.
See? Yeah, I'll never lose track of
1,400
it
calories on my arm. Sorry, Jason.
So Julie, you've already opened up the door for us, because that's exactly the place that we're going to go to next. Is we're going to talk about calories. Now, Gina, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, if you want to count calories, you can. It is very helpful. It can be really eye-opening. It can certainly get you to your goals. For some people, and again, this is going to be very personality-based, for some people, they just do better when they track. And they track as frequently and as often and as diligently as they like. And for others, they need to track a little bit, and then they need to stop tracking, because it starts to foster a little too much anxiety, and we don't want that. We don't want that kind of environment. We want something that feels comfortable but still challenging, because the challenge is going to help you, sort of understand what the process is. So if you had come to me and said, listen, I don't care anything about losing weight. I just want to go to the gym, lift weights, feel good, and weight loss is not important to me. If that were the conversation, your maintenance calories would be about 2,200 calories a day. That's what it would take for you to basically keep all systems operating at a good level, and just feel good throughout your day. So if that's your maintenance, I try to do somewhere between about a 15 and a 20% deficit from there. You could do less. If you feel that 15 to 20% is too aggressive, it just means it's going to slow down your progress. You could do more, which means that you're going to lose weight faster, but you may find it's harder to sustain. So the ideal goal is, in a perfect world, you eat just enough that you're losing a steady amount of weight, and not so much that you want to punch people in the face because you're not getting enough nutrients.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep Gina from going postal and to keep Steve from being a miserable husband because Gina's gone postal.
Yeah, and I need to be happy since she's my personal assistant.
That's true.
So I recommend you listen to Jason.
So where I've got your numbers at, I've got you around 1,700 calories a day to lose weight. So that's about 20% from that maintenance number. Now, if you go over 1,700, I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. And if you go a little bit under, that's okay. These are estimates. They're not gospel. They're just, when we took all the data that you gave me, this is the estimate that we've come up with. So if you were to try, say, 4 or 5 different trackers on your phone or through like a tracker that you use on your watch or whatever, the numbers may be a little bit different, but they should be fairly similar. You're going to have a maintenance number that's roughly X amount, and then once you set that deficit, it's probably going to fall somewhere in line. So you shouldn't see these big, gaping, deviations from the numbers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know that your goal number is roughly 1,700. Beyond that, and again, this is perfect world, and this is if I were in your shoes, this is the way that I would do it. It doesn't mean that you have to follow this exact advice. But beyond calories, the next number that I want you to pay as close of attention to as you can is the amount of protein that you're getting in. Julie and I have had many, many conversations about this, and Julie's somebody that, we've talked about this on the show. Julie's body, based on some things that she brought to the table, it can't process protein the same way that, say, my body can, because we've gone through different things. So Julie has to be a little bit more creative and maybe a little bit more flexible and forgiving with herself for not being able to handle that nutrient the same way as someone else. So for you, what I try to get most people to do is eat grams of protein about in line with your lean muscle. And remember that your lean muscle is about 150 pounds, so you shoot for upwards of 150 grams of protein. Now, that's going to seem like a really big number for a lot of people. What I would tell you is, if you ever done a protein shake before, if you were to double scoop a protein shake, that'll be about 50 grams. So you're a third of the way to your goal.
Oh, that's not
if
bad,
you have about 6 ounces of chicken breast, that's probably going to be about 40 to 50 grams. So that's going to make up another big difference. So then you're just trying to close the gap with things like Greek yogurt or maybe a little bit of lean steak or some turkey or things like that. But there's certainly ways that if you just kind of think a little bit outside the box, you can hit that number. When you look at how that affects your calories, you figure it's 4 calories per gram. So that 150 is going to be about 600 calories of the 1,700 that you're allotted. Does that make sense so far?
That's pretty good. I think that's good. I want 1,700 calories.
Yeah. So if you start there, what I tell people is hit your calories first, hit your protein second. Don't agonize and beat yourself up if it's not perfect. Just do the best that you can. And then when it comes to carbs and fat, I honestly don't care what you do. You do whatever you want. So if you find that your body feels better with a higher fat, lower carb intake, relatively speaking, try that. If you feel that you need more carbs and a lower fat diet, that's fine too. Right now, I think you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that people are really all about low carb and keto right now.
Oh,
and that's fine if you really find that it resonates with you. But a lot of the propaganda that's out there and all the things that people say, the magical qualities that it has, they're not really holding up. So what I would tell you is I want you to live as normal of a life as possible. And if keto makes you feel normal, then we go keto, and we're going to have a slightly different conversation about the nutrients if that's the case. But I would think that most people probably enjoy a good carb. And that's going to be your fruits and your breads and your rice and your pastas and all that stuff. So we want to kind of have that in the mix. And so
Jason,
is all that making sense so far?
Yeah. It is. I don't think keto will be a problem for me, though.
No.
My husband's pretty thin, and, well, not thin, but he's like soccer athlete, swimmer build, and quite frankly, I don't want to have to cook 2 meals. So,
yeah, and don't you think, Jason, it's important to, at least what I have found is it's important for me to find something that I'm willing to live with for the rest of my life.
It is, and the thing is if you want to throw the name of any diet out there, I can probably pretty accurately give you the pros and cons about it. So I don't want this to be like a slam on keto or a slam on anything, because there's something that's out there that works for every individual. But not being able to be a fly on the wall in Gina's life to really see every morsel of food that she puts into her body, I want to try to keep this, again, as normal as I can. But it also means that, something's got to give. Something has to change. Whatever got Gina to the place that she is right now, it's going to have to be a fairly dramatic shift. Now, it doesn't have to be a complete 180, but we certainly need to kind of turn the tide a little bit. So, again, my perfect world is you take the diet exactly as it is and you cut the portions back. But that doesn't always work. So I'll use this as a good example. Gina, do you like pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know about you, but I know I'll speak for a handful of my clients, and I'll even speak for myself. If there's a good pizza in front of me, that is not a food that I moderate well. I will eat several pieces of pizza. And when you figure that, the average pizza probably has somewhere between 250 and upwards of 500 calories per slice, that is a lot of damage that you can do in one sitting if you can't control it at, say, one slice. So if pizza is your trigger food and you're like, you know what, I just know myself better than anybody. I know that right now and what I'm going through and how important my goals are, pizza is a food that I need to temporarily take off the table until I've really got some momentum lined up for myself, then that's a conversation that you would need to have, with yourself. And that's really where it kind of comes back to you as the individual is, what do I really need to really stay focused? And I'm the kind of person where, you don't really want to get lost in like that whole reward system of, if I was a good boy, then I get a treat. But for me, I need to know that I'm making progress. So if I were trying to lose weight, I would say, pizza is my trigger food. I know I'm not going to be able to control it if I have it. Maybe I'm going to wait until I'm down about 20 pounds before I decide to have pizza. And then I'm going to determine how well I can handle it at that point in time. And then you just reassess. Does that ring a bell for you in terms of any foods that you think might kind of cause that problem?
Cheese.
Cheese.
But what is it?
Cheese.
Oh, cheese. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we have lots of conversations about cheese here.
Yeah, I love it. I'm also lactose intolerant, so I have to stay towards the harder cheeses, which apparently tend
not
to have
to be
more
confused with
calories
cheeses,
too.
but cheeses.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
My life revolves around the 3 C's: chocolate, cheese, and coffee. So.
So, I'll play both sides of the coin here. Let's say that you told me I have to have these things in my diet. I have to have chocolate, I have to have cheese, and I have to have coffee. And if you don't give me those 3 things, it's a deal breaker. I would tell you this is how we make them fit. There's a caveat. And the caveat is, if I give you that little bit to make it livable and you're still not controlling it, like you're either still going over your calories or you can't control those 3 C's or whatever it is, then we need to come up with another plan. So as we're kind of working through this today, we're putting together something of a game plan, and the conversation doesn't end here. You and I are now connected via email and by phone and by Facebook and all this stuff. So we're going to continue the conversation to see where the progress goes. And ultimately, you're going to have eyes on what you do to go, okay, well, I thought I was the queen of the 3 C's, and it just so turns out that right now I need to put, I need to table the cheese for right now because cheese is the nemesis. And that's okay as long as you can be aware of it and go, all right, cheese, you and I need to just temporarily break up. We're going to go through a little minor divorce, and we're going to resolve our relationship here in a couple of months.
Divorce the cheese, Gina.
Yeah, I'd probably feel better. Oh, she told me to go ahead and just divorce the cheese. I'll feel better.
See, so Julie knows you better than I know you, and I think it's good insight. And the thing is that since Julie is on a similar trajectory, she's still looking for the things that are going to get her closer to her goal. This is a good way for you to basically be a good support for each other. And it also means that, and I'm going to kind of throw you both under the bus, that you both have to have an open line of communication where you can go, hey, buddy, you were supposed to be helping me with this. Like, I need your help. This is not just for aesthetics. This is not just so I can have a bikini body. This is so I can have better health. And hold each other accountable in a way that is not the other person nagging on you. When my wife says to me I need to lose weight, I'm not sitting over there wagging my finger at her going, well, shame on you for eating that. She knows, she's not a dummy. Right. So it's just trying to offer that support because you're with each other and you see how each other eat and when things tend to go wrong.
Exactly. Like no cheese torts coming in the office for you, young lady. Is there even a cheese tort?
I mean, I'm sure that there is, and it's savory and super not good for me.
Right.
So I'm going to sidestep the food for a little bit because we're going to come back to it. I want to try to give you some more tools so that you have a little bit different understanding of the calories too. But let's talk about some other things. And Julie and I keep kind of an ongoing conversation about this too. In all the time that Julie and I have been working together, we really focus more on mindset. It's more about where's your mind at? What are your goals? What's happening in life right now that's derailing you? And that's kind of our constant conversation. The one thing Julie and I don't really talk about as much, and it's just because that's not where we're currently at, is we don't talk as much about exercise. So, I own a gym, so I honestly believe that exercise is important. But I think that, again, sometimes people put a little bit too much weight into things like I need to do more cardio. And I think it can be really troublesome that if you can't dedicate yourself and, divorce the cheese and marry the treadmill, that you're not going to get to your goals. I don't want you married to the gym. I just want you to do more than what you're currently doing. So if you currently are not getting to the gym, we're just trying to look for those little incremental bumps. So again, my perfect world for you would be do cardio about 3 days a week. See if you can burn about 300 calories. If it's a little bit under, no problem. If it's a little bit over, no problem. Don't kill yourself. Just get in, get the time done. You can change up the machine. So if you want to do treadmill one day, elliptical the next, and a bike on another day, that's fine. Just get the time in and check it off your list or shoot for 10,000 steps or whatever you think your thing is going to be. Maybe you want to go swimming. Maybe you want to play some basketball or some racquetball or something like that. And then 2 days a week, try to lift some weights. It could be machines, it could be dumbbells, it could be barbells, it could be anything where you go, okay, week by week and month by month, I know that I'm getting better. What I was able to lift 2 weeks ago, I can lift more than that now, either more weight or more reps. So we've formulated basically like a 5-day plan in whatever variation you look at it. 3 days of cardio, 2 days of strength training, and just see how it goes. If you're able to do all that perfectly, so we're going to back up a little bit for just a moment. We're going to have you hitting your 1,700 calories more consistently than, say, inconsistently. You're doing your 3 days of cardio, burning roughly 300 calories. You're doing 2 days of strength training, burning, well, probably not much, about 150 calories, give or take. If you do all those things, and again, this is Jason, forcing Gina into this little perfect bubble, you're going to be down about 83 pounds to 190 pounds by March of 2020. So a little over a year.
That's still not terrible, though. That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And then the thing to keep in mind is this. If you were to get off this call today and go, okay, that's it. This is my shit or get off the pot moment. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do the work that Jason, asked me to do. You may find that initially you drop a bit more weight right from the get-go. And then the body's going to start to kind of slow down and it's going to do, its thing where you're just, you're losing a pound here or a half pound there or that kind of thing. One thing we haven't talked about is, when and if you do a diet break. There's lots of different ways to do it. You could set it on a time schedule. You could say, I'm going to diet for 11 weeks and then I'm going to break for 1. Or you could set it based on weight that you've lost. You could lose 10 pounds, take a break, lose another 10 pounds, take a break. That helps you kind of restore some sanity to what you're doing because you'll see a light at the end of the tunnel. If I just say to you, Gina, I want you to lose 83 pounds, that's a big number. It's a lot to focus on. It's a lot to get down on yourself about. But if you look at these little bite-sized chunks, the next 5 pounds, the next 10 pounds, you can break it down even more and just go, you know what? The only thing I'm going to focus on is losing 1 pound a week. And Julie knows this strategy because we've talked about this. If the most that you can focus on is losing 1 pound a week, then I just want you to put your efforts towards that and then realize that life's going to get in the way. Life's going to derail you. That's normal. You're a normal person. You're not broken. That you can do the things that get you closer to that. So I know I've been running my mouth a lot at this point, so I want to kind of turn this back over to you so you can start to, ask me some questions.
I did have one question, Gina, before on this subject. when I lose weight, Jason, I like to go, instead of taking, well, you're calling it a break. When I do a break, I do a maintenance break, because I figure once I get the weight off, I have to learn to maintain it. So I just eat up to my maintenance calories for my weight. And then that stops me from being really bingey, and it stops me from going off and not being able to get back on after do you recommend that?
I think it's great, and the thing is, there's no one way to do it. The one thing that I would say, and this is probably something to keep in mind, is, so let me kind of come back to Gina's maintenance. So her maintenance, again, just for a refresher, is about 2,200 calories. So let's say that Gina wants to do, and I'm just gonna make this very hypothetical, that she really wants to go great guns, and she wants to do the best that she can within, say, a 12-week period, so roughly 3 months. So 11 weeks of dieting and then a week of a maintenance. If you've done pretty well with your dieting, you've seen some good weight loss, maybe you've lost 15, 20, 25 pounds by that point, which is all very realistic, your maintenance will have dropped, because you are now effectively a slightly smaller person. So what was 2,200 of maintenance may be slightly different. Maybe it's about 2,100 or 2,150 or 2,050. It just, you don't want to go all the way back to that 2,200, because a smaller body requires fewer calories. So that's just kind of something to think about too. I know it may sound like a little bit of really getting down to minor details, but it is something that could be insightful, so that you don't see the scale do crazy things, and you still have a good strategy for moving forward. But I mean, I've seen shorter diet breaks that certainly make sense. People that do a diet break, so they eat to maintenance once a week or once every 2 weeks. Again, it's that light at the end of the tunnel that gives you something to focus on. So it's different for everybody.
Right.
That sounds pretty cool.
What did you want to talk about, Gina?
So back to the whole different diet deals where you were talking about pros and cons. Are you familiar with like the blood type diet? It's super outdated and old, but it's something that I'd looked at before, and it's a lot of food that I could personally eat. It's a lot of focus on fish and less on dairy, which is great because I'm lactose intolerant. But I've heard a lot of different cons for it because of the monotony of the food. But I was just wondering if you were familiar with it, or if there was any specific recommendations you have for food besides the obvious, stop eating so much sugar, or skip eating fast food type deal.
Yeah, so I like that you brought this one up. So I just want to clarify too, you're talking about the Eat Right for Your Blood type, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one, and I'm actually going to fall on my sword when I say this too, because I don't mind, publicly admitting my own mistakes. This is a particular diet that when I first read about it, I was pretty convinced. I read it and I was like, wow, it's so much detail. It would have to be right. And I went on record. I think if you scour enough of my, writing deep enough, and I don't know exactly where it would be at, I actually went on record and said this might be something for you as a potential client to look into. Now, granted, this was many years ago. This is what I'll say about it. The claims that are in the book haven't really held up to scrutiny. That doesn't mean that it's bad. It just may mean that some of the claims that they're making may not actually be true. That being said, if you find that what's there really resonates with you, like you like something about the principles, and you look at the list of food and you go, that sounds reasonable to me, I think I could eat that way, then I think it's worth trying. Because what you do is you start to kind of treat your body like something of an experiment without going crazy town. And that's really the goal, is you're trying not to go crazy town. So I would look at it as, these are the foods that I get to eat if I follow this. I would remove some of the claims. So don't think that by eating a certain way that the heavens are going to part and the angels are going to sing and all these other things are going to happen, like the magic voodoo occurs. I would remove that from the equation. But if you look at it and you're like, what I'm allowed to eat makes sense to me, then I think that's a good starting point. The one thing I do want to come back to, because I think this is really important, is when you say that, the foods that are important to you, and I know we were kind of joking about it, but when we talk about chocolate, cheese, and coffee, if that particular diet says, cheese isn't part of the equation, you do want to ask yourself, how long can I go that way? My wife is lactose intolerant, but my wife can also eat cheese, and she can eat yogurt, and she can eat ice cream. What she can't do is milk the way that we all know milk to be. And obviously she could overconsume it. My wife would be, if she were here right now, she'd flat out tell you she loves cheese. And I'm half Dutch, so by design, I love cheese. I just don't love it the way my wife loves it. But you do want to look at it and go, okay, does that really fit for me? And how long could I reasonably go without cheese? And I think that there's an argument for I could do without cheese for a while and make yourself purposefully uncomfortable to just really get a better understanding of yourself. And I think there's an argument for, but I need to keep some of it in. So again, I don't go postal so that Steve doesn't want to throw me out of the house, things like that. So
I think that what you're saying is really valid. But the thing I would be concerned about it is having a tendency to be a binger if I don't get what I want.
Yes.
I think I would have to take that diet or the keto diet or any diet, if I was going to look at it, and take the things from it that appeal to me, but then I would have to add the cheese or the chocolate or the whatever in my plan. That way you don't have the, okay, excuse my French, but you don't have the F it, I can't do this anymore, and have the big binge. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that is a valid point for literally any diet. So, I mean, if we were just to walk into a bookstore together and go look at the diet section, there are a couple of things that I can tell you. Every diet works. If you blindfolded us, spun us around, and had us point at a book, as long as you follow what they tell you, you'll lose weight. You will. You will just find somewhere along the way, this is no longer really me. That this isn't me. I'm just doing it to satisfy an arbitrary number. But when you find that there's an adage in the business world that what got you here won't get you there. Well, you can't. Gina can't remain the Gina that she's been up to this point in several respects and still get to the weight that she wants to be. Something has to give. Yeah. And Gina, it's really up to you to determine, okay, how far do I want to push that needle? Do I want to really, really push it? Do I want to get really uncomfortable and go for a complete 180? Or do I just need to kind of test the waters a little bit and just start to really listen to myself and make more caring decisions for what it is that you're trying to do?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, honestly, I could probably give up the 3 C's without issue. It's more of like an ongoing joke with my husband and me that I'm easily place-setted for any gift. Whoever doesn't know what to get me something, they can just go with one of those 3, and then I'm golden. Really easy to shop for like that, but I can usually go a pretty long spurt without either or. But on the chocolate or cheese.
If you could lose weight and still have those things, though, would you stick to that program longer?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm just a really terrible shopper is the issue I have with all programs I've ever looked at. So I'll be like, I should go grocery shopping. And then I think about going over to the grocery store and I'm like, I really don't want to. So I'll go weeks without different things just because I didn't want to go to the grocery store.
She's better than me. I just go to the grocery store.
Yeah, that's my diet trick. I just don't buy it.
It's a fantastic point that you bring up too, and this is where I'll kind of come back to, Gina, if I were a fly on the wall in your life, and I could sit on your shoulder and go, okay, that's the intake, and it's not, when I look at intake, it's not a good or bad. It's not a Gina was a bad girl today. It's just, oh, that's what you ate, or that's what you drank, and that's what has a calorie, and that's what doesn't. If you are somebody who really is not comfortable going to the store, but you're still managing to find ways to get food in your system, which is, the ideal goal, is how do we take that lifestyle, that preference, and just cut it back? And I don't know, if, again, I'll kind of come back to your maintenance number for a second. If your maintenance calories are 2,200, and let's just say that steadily over time, you've been eating closer to 23 or 24 or 2,500 calories, not just on a daily level, but if you look at calories over, say, a given week, if I could find ways just to kind of shave a few things off without it being, just so discombobulating for you, that is our ideal circumstance. So let's say, for instance, and I'm not saying this is your reality, but let's say, for instance, you have 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. Can we get rid of one of those snacks first? Can we get rid of, say, an afternoon snack? Where does that put us on a calorie level at that point? And you kind of watch that trend over time. And if removing one snack doesn't do the job, what if we remove the second snack? Does that get you closer to your goal? And you just watch. And then you just continue to kind of tweak these things until they start to show the results that you want to see. And now it's no longer about following the Eat Right for Your Blood type, or following keto, or following paleo, or the Julie Tussey diet, or whatever it is. This is a customized Gina diet that's really just about you, just modified.
Yeah, no, sounds pretty awesome, pretty easy.
Yeah, and you know what I do? Like, I couldn't cut out the snack, I don't think. So I lighten the snack. Like, I know I'm a chocoholic, so I go get 40-calorie fudgesicles. And so I'll have that versus 210 calories in chocolate. You know what I mean? Totally cool, Jason. Totally.
It's all about options. Life is all about options.
It's about those stinking calories.
Well, and it's that too. And I mean, I got to give props to every diet book that's out there that says that it's not, because what it means is they've done the homework for you. They've already basically forced you into the deficit without counting calories. Right. And Julie, as you and I have talked about on previous episodes, it's what Weight Watchers did. By having you focus on points instead of calories, it's a smaller number to focus on. So, that's why everything works, assuming that you follow it.
Honestly, Gina could live on the 3 C's as long as she stays in her calories.
I couldn't. I'd probably die. But
listen to me. Calorie-wise, if you ate 2,000 calories of the 3 C's or 2,000 calories of lean meat, vegetables, fruit, and maybe a treat, you still will lose weight, in my opinion. Jason, we've talked about it, butter or celery, remember?
Well, and there's not that you want to hang everyone's results on this particular example, but there is the very eye-opening, case study of the nutrition professor. I always get the first name wrong. I think it's Mark Hobb, that showed specifically on like a Twinkie diet, like a junk food diet, that he lost significant weight, saw great numbers happen with his LDL and his
Oh, Jason?
Garbage. Like, he ate garbage, but he did it to hit his goal, and he did it for 2 months, and he saw amazing things happen. So, granted, it's not the ideal circumstance. You don't want to live on Twinkies and Snickers, but you can get the job done if all you care about is the number.
Right. So, in other words, it's irrefutable, pretty much, I think, that it's the caloric intake, but you want to take into consideration health on top of it, because you probably are going to be not feeling too great on the 3 C's.
No, probably not.
I'll tell you right now, even if you did see the weight loss the way that you want to see it, I can't imagine that your body performs at a great level if you continue to put the junk in. But, you got to probably have it somewhere, because we're all built to like it. It's pretty much a preference in 2019.
I think what I love about it, Jason, is that when you have a number, then you can actually work within. You don't have to have chicken breast and green beans and no butter and celery sticks and carrot sticks. You can actually go, okay, well, I have like 1,300 calories.
It's actually a good meal, though.
Yeah, it's good until you live on it and can't have anything that you actually love to have, and is a joy in life to have some of the things that you enjoy that makes your life more fulfilling. So if you have a number, it's like a frame, and then all you have to do is build within that framework, and you'll still lose weight. That's part of why I've liked Weight Watchers so much, is because it gave me that frame that kept me in the right calories, and it freed my mind. It's all about that mindset, too. Like, I can't stand the thought of a diet, Jason. I have to be honest with you. I've done it too much. But the thought of, this is a live it for me. This is something I'm trying to do that I can live the rest of my life, and I can eat anything I want. I truly can. I can eat an entire chocolate cake, 1,400 calories in one day if I want. I'm not going to, but in my mind, that frees me. That frees me. Do you see what I'm saying, Gina? That frees me. And so, to me, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I like that. I mean, unfortunately, the hell of it is, and I blame the industry to some degree for this as well, is diet. When you break down the root form of the word, means way of life. So if you treat that word as if it's a negative, everything about it becomes a negative. Eating in a deficit to get to your goal because you want to feel better at that goal becomes a negative. It no longer feels like self-care. It almost feels like self-harm because all you do is resent the whole process. So,
right.
I do think it is about having a certain amount of freedom about, okay, it's not going to be necessarily comfortable, but I can make it as bearable as I can.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I know.
My other motto is to learn to embrace hunger pains.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There
they are. They're burning fat.
Water.
I'm getting skinnier as I'm suffering this. I'm not going to die.
There will be hunger.
Yeah.
Gina, I want to give you a couple of other tools as well that I think may be helpful and insightful for you. I don't get any kickbacks for mentioning one of these things, even though I'm going to have to mention a brand. There is a website. It is also an app called eatthismuch.com.
Oh, yeah.
What I have found to be very helpful about this is for people who wonder, what does X amount of calories actually look like? This can be very helpful. So rather than having you say track every morsel that goes into your into your diet, what this does is you can set in your goal calories. So you can put in 1,700 calories. You can go into the settings. You can set your protein, which, again, as I said, is your second most important number to focus on, and then let it come up with whatever it's going to do for carbs and fat, and it will come up with a day's worth of meals for you. So if you say, I like to eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 5 meals, and so on, it will formulate that. And if you say wanted to be vegan or you wanted to be ketogenic or whatever the case is, it actually follows those diet plans. So you can go in, put in those numbers, let it cough up a meal plan for you, and you can follow those things, and it will actually give you a grocery list that you can then take to the grocery store and buy those things. All the things that it asks you to prepare are very, very simple. It's not asking you to make gourmet meals. It's asking you to make, sandwiches and salads, and it's simple. It's not, you're not going overboard with it. So I found this to be really, really helpful for a lot of people because it kind of gives you some guidelines, and you can very simply just go on to Google and just type in 1,700 calorie, weight loss plan or meal plan for weight loss, and you're going to see lots and lots of different things that come up as well that would be helpful for you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that saves a lot of trouble. That site, they have recipes and stuff on there too, don't they?
Say that one more time.
The eatthismuch.com, they've got recipes on there, don't they? Also, I think my sister uses it.
They might. I know typically, like when I see it, and of course they have a premium service and a free service, and I don't know what the premium offers right off the top of my head, but I know that when you do the free service and it shows you, what a given day of meals could look like, let's just say it's a particular, entree. When you sort of highlight over it, it will kind of give you a breakdown of what the ingredients are and how much to use. So basically it kind of walks you through the preparation of it. But the one thing that I like, and I think I've talked to Julie about this before, is I hate onions. Like the smell of them just makes me, it just absolutely repulses me. So I can actually go into the settings and say no onions, and it pulls all of the onions out of the recipes.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great. I'm learning to not be a picky eater, but I'm kind of a picky eater, and I think part of it goes back to the same reason I don't like going to the grocery store, because it's just where I worked retail for so long. So I just kind of got used to seeing and ringing up certain things, and then different memories attaching to different things. And so, like,
we're stretching her here because we're doing a cooking show.
Yeah, I'm learning to eat. Between Julie and my husband, I now eat like olives and lots of random stuff. Like, even though I like cheese, I wouldn't eat blue cheese for the longest time either until my husband had me try blue cheese. And Julie's got me almost on that squash train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We work on it. And I told Gina when she started working for me, I said, if you work for me, you will lose weight working for me, because I don't know why that is. I guess because we focus on it so much. I focus on it in my life. And we're very aware. So if we're having chocolate at our desk, we're very aware that we did that, aren't we, Gina? We've been working.
We are.
And she's done really, really well. So, Jason, it's so good that she's been able to talk with you today. Now, did you hit on everything that you wanted to today?
I covered everything that I needed to. I mean, there may be, like I said, there's because, for all intents and purposes, Gina's journey is just really starting. Mm-hmm. There's going to be lots of conversation that needs to kind of take place as we move forward. But, Gina, if you don't have any other questions, I think that's a really good place to start, because I'm fairly sure I vomited a lot of information on you to kind of sit and, think about. And then you've got all of my contact information as you, have questions, and I'm happy to answer anything I can.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. That'll help out a lot.
What did you think of it, Gina? It's the first time you've ever talked to an online coach. What do you think of this?
I think it's pretty interesting. Honestly, it's not that much different than like whenever you sign up at whatever local gym you're at and they have you speak to your first fitness trainer. So I think it's nice because I still kind of feel like I had a one-on-one with you. I mean, I did have a one-on-one with you, but it's almost like we're face to face without you having to like fly out all the way over to Kentucky to meet with us.
No, I think it was great. And Gina, again, I really do have to give you huge credit, because I do think it takes a very bold person to be able to kind of go on the air and really kind of put this out for public consumption. But I hope that, not only am I able to help you with this information, but that, you by doing so, that we're helping somebody who's listening, get a little bit closer to their goals as well.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully it helps other people out. Plus, on the bright side, doing it this way, nobody knows me, so it don't matter.
Yeah, she's living in La La Land still because she doesn't know how famous she is.
Shush, Julie. It's what keeps me going.
I drag her.
You'll be a celebrity in our little microcosm over here.
Oh, okay. Well, that works.
I drag her into all kinds of things, and she just has not realized yet. She has not realized yet that we are affecting the world.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for the opportunity. Julie, thank you for letting me kind of cross-promote this show with you, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with my audience also.
Thank you, Jason, so much. Thank you for being the official fitness coach of the Julie Tussey Show. We love you, in case you don't know, and I do want to ask you one thing. Well, maybe you don't want this on your podcast, but
you've opened the door. Let's go there.
Too late now. Now they're going to be like, curious minds want to know. We've launched.
Yeah, this would be the good place to just kind of end it and go into our outro, right?
That's right, the outro. We launched the Julie Tussey Show Fabulous Cooking, which is a spin-off from the podcast, and I've lost 24 pounds. I've been stuck for a year in maintenance with it, so I'm getting ready to hit it hard again. And what we do is we cook original recipes on the cooking show, and then I share how I make them fit and fabulous. So we have fabulous cooking that we make fit and fabulous. So in the peak of summer, maybe the July show, I was wondering if you would consider moseying on down to Kentucky and cooking with me in the kitchen, because I love your Instagrams and your Facebook posts of how you cook for your wife, and I see that the food is delicious, but it's really healthy.
Yeah, I will talk to the boss and see what she thinks about that, because you might end up having a sleepover with me, the better half, and our rotten baby. And,
we love it.
We love babies here. Bring the baby.
So yeah, let's leave it kind of open ended. But I mean, I really appreciate the invitation, and I'm so excited for you. I mean, I've seen what you've been doing this so far, and it looks really, really cool and very exciting. And I'm just really happy to see you continue to evolve.
Thank you. And we're probably going to have to hire you, Jason, because I have a videography every month of a new show, and it'll go to weekly, and I want to get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier.
Well, so this is not even going to be about food when I come down. I'm just going to make you work out.
Oh, there you go. We can be buff ladies together.
Yeah, I better get on the stinking treadmill again.
Gotta be a buff lady.
All right, Jason, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. And if you're listening to the Julie Tussey Show, please do go find Jason. Jason, tell the listeners of the Julie Tussey Show how they can connect with you, because I'm sure they're going to want you to coach them also.
Well, I'll do my very best. So yeah, I'm fairly easy to find if you can spell the last name. So it's Jason Leenaarts. The last name is Leenaarts. So it's jasonleenaarts.com. The business is Revolution Fitness and Therapy. The podcast is Revolutionary You. So there are a lot of touch points to find me.
Thank you so much, my famous friend.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Gina.
Oh, thank you. Definitely.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Julie Tussey Show. One thing I want you to always remember is you only get one life. Live it to the fullest. Hey, I'd like to give a shout out to Jennifer Woods of Savvy Salon and Spa in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you, Jennifer, for the most beautiful lash extensions. Girls, if you have thought about getting these lash extensions, you need to go and see Jennifer. That's Jennifer Woods at Savvy Salon and Spa, because you deserve it. After a week of hearing hundreds of I can'ts, I'm here today to tell you you can. Find us on social media at facebook.com/The Julie Tussey Show and Instagram, The Julie Tussey Show, home of the original suburban bombshell. Want to feel amazing, strong, and healthy any time of the day or night? Go to Get Fit in Richmond, Kentucky. Open 24 hours a day with memberships as low as $14.99 a month. Fitness on your schedule. Get Fit. I know you're the man I want to meet. Everything about you calls my name. If life is my oyster, darling, pass the hot sauce.